This is my testimony of how God answered my prayer in such a powerful way that is also funny. For me at least, because He gave me a personal revelation about it afterwards. So here's what happened. I was experiencing intense spiritual warfare after persecution, rejection, and loss. I was depressed, anxious, and exhausted by everything. I cried out to God and asked Him to move me to where He needed me to be. I asked Him if the move is still far away in His schedule, that He would at least give me a break. I prayed so many prayers after that and held on to my faith despite how the enemy kept trying to make me doubt God's promises and how my flesh desired to go back to my old sinful lifestyle. However, God kept my spirit strong, and after a few days of waiting, since that one prayer, He answered. I saw a quote before the things I'm about to tell you happened, and it said, "When God is shaking things up in your life, He is up to something." So, all of a sudden, the toilet wasn't working. Whenever we would try to flush it, the water would shoot up from the shower drain instead. It was disgusting. As usual, they blamed me for what was happening. But then, when the landlord checked the pipes, they found a big tree root piercing the tube. They were bewildered because this has never happened to them before. The houses in this town are mostly old and have many trees surrounding them, but such a case like it was never heard before. The landlord estimated how many days it would take them to fix it because they would have to dig all the way to the street to fix the damage. The water supply will be cut off temporarily during the time period. So they put me in an inn temporarily that they paid for a week. It was an inn that was right next to a highway. And out of all the vacant rooms, they gave me room number 3. That's where I also celebrated my birthday. Within a few days, I stayed at the inn. I grew a lot closer to God. I thought it was the place, like a stepping stone before he would take me to a better place. So I brought my luggages with me because I believed in that idea that it was finally time to move, but it wasn't yet. So when the day drew near for me to return to the house, I grew very anxious. I kept praying to God to move me miraculously, just as He miraculously provided a place for me at the inn through the landlord. Then when it was finished, I had to go back. I was so depressed. I had a mental breakdown, and I cried out to God, expressing my disappointment. I almost gave up on Him and on my mission, but once again, He stood by my side and strengthened me. The next day, I repented. I asked God in the morning to help me understand what was happening, even just a little, because I was so desperate to move somewhere else, but I couldn't unless it was time. Immediately after I prayed that prayer, God answered, and I face-palmed, laughed, and sighed. He said, "Remember when you prayed, 'God, give me a break'? That's what I did." I forgot that prayer completely because I was mostly praying that He would move me somewhere else. Plus, because I have sleep deficiency, which is one of the thorns I have, I tend to be forgetful. When God reminded me that prayer, He also helped me understand why it wasn't time for me to move yet. He continued to build my patience, my resilience, and deepened my faith in the waiting. I'm still in the same place today, but I constantly remind myself that even though I'm not where I want to be yet, I'm grateful to God that I'm not where I used to be. I'm grateful to God for all my answered prayers and for all the prayers He also hasn't answered yet. His ways are higher than our ways. That's why we must never lean on our own understanding and continue to lean on Him. Today He showed me Ephesians chapter 3 verse 11, which says, "God makes everything happen at the right time." Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and that's all the assurance we need in this unpredictable world that's constantly changing. Yes, He answers us in unpredictable ways and He works in mysterious ways, but He remains faithful, loving, and merciful. When God speaks a word, he doesn't change his mind. What is written is what will surely happen. So if he said that he will help us, he will. If he said he will deliver us, he will. If he said he will provide for our needs, he will. The question is not if, when, and how God will do it, but the real questions are, do you really believe? Do you truly trust in him? Will you be patient just as he is patient with you? Will you not give up on him when things are not what you expect them to be, just as he never gives up on you at your worst and at your darkest? Do you love him only when he gives you what you want? Or do you love him for who he is and not only what he can give? Anyway, that was my testimony of how God caused a root to damage a tube out of nowhere to answer my "God give me a break" prayer. I hope this testimony blessed someone out there as a reminder that with God nothing is impossible. In Revelation chapter 12 verse 11 says, "And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives even unto death." I love you guys, and may God bless you all more abundantly. Bye.